Shoaib Siddique with you on NS Weekly English News. The ASEAN Rohingya Center ARC has proposed that 2017 be declared International Rohingya Solidarity Year. ARC Executive Director Dr. Muhammad Halmi Ibrahim told NST that the declaration is supported by various non-governmental organizations, NGOs. The purpose of declaration is to increase regional awareness of the need to put an end to abuses of human rights, discrimination and violence against the Rohingyas in Myanmar's restrictive Arakan state. He said, Dr. Muhammad Halmi presented the Declaration of Organization of Islamic Cooperation, OIC's Special Envoy to Myanmar, Tan Sri Said Hamid Albar, during the launch of 2017 Year of Solidarity with Rohingyas Forum at the Malaysian Institute of Integrity. The ARC is a Kuala Lumpur-based organization comprising 60 NGOs from throughout Asia advocating for an end to persecution of the Rohingya. Rohingya activists said the existence of fake photographs creates error to the issue of Rohingya in Myanmar, as the government might benefit from these and deny the destructions against Rohingya Muslims, which included killing and displacing thousands from villages, also raping hundreds of Rohingya women and escape from the justice. The director of Rohingya Media Center, RMC, Mr. Salah Abdul Shukur, said these are attempts by the government to hide its crimes, especially with the proliferations of videos shows the number of soldiers beating and kicking a number of Rohingya villagers, as the world is forcing the government to open an investigation into the subject. Rohingya activist Mr. Bin Wali said the sympathizers of the issue should be careful of spreading false images, and further added that there are those wrongfully published false images, but that does not refute the existence of grave violations against Rohingya Muslims in Arakan. Newspaper Global New Light of Myanmar has published a Myanmar official claiming that the wrong photographs published in social media about the persecution of Rohingya Muslims created a bad reputation for the state of Arakan in the world. According to the President's Office of State of Myanmar, it has reported that the news and photos are fabricated deliberately and sent to the international media, international human rights organizations and governments in an effort to bring misunderstanding on Myanmar. Myanmar regime forces demolished 4 Rohingya houses in the village of Mirilla in Mongdo of Arakan state, claiming that the owners were not present. They also repeated their action in several other villages within the same week. They demolished around 36 houses and commercial shops in the village of Zambonya because the villages were Rohingya population, which brings the total number of demolished homes in 1 week to 40 homes. A reporter of Arakan News Agency ANA said 40 soldiers belonging to regime were involved in this process. A large number of military vehicles accompanied by a group of Buddhist extremist militias were present. The correspondent added that the Rohingya man named Saidul Amin bin Habib suffered injuries in different parts of his body as a result of his opposition to the demolition of his house and not being able to pay the money to stop out the demolitions. A young Rohingya man was subjected to violent assault by the government forces in the state of Arakan in Myanmar, resulted in a number of facial injuries. A correspondent of Arakan News Agency ANA said the young man who lives in the village of Hawarbil in northern of Mongdo city was arrested a few days ago at the hands of the government forces, then released him in exchange of 600,000 Myanmar Che. And the young man's family was surprised from the amount of abuse he suffered, which led to bruises and swellings in his face and around his eyes. Residents of a village in Aikap city found a Rohingya man unconscious and with the effects of severe beatings and attacks. The residents of the village reports that they found the man laying unconscious on the road, a result of being severely beaten, which led to unconsciousness, and it is believed that the attackers were a group of Buddhist extremists. They further adds, "We found signs of being kicked, beaten with shoes on his back and chest, as we have noted the presence of a mark on his neck indicating an attempt to strangle him with ropes. It is noteworthy that these cases or complaints are not received by Myanmar authorities. Also the victim often ends up dying due to the lack of medicine and the lack of proper treatments." The detainees suffer in a condition of prisons inside Myanmar with serious human rights violation, as most of them are arrested or detained without charges, and the mistreatment of prisoners by subjecting them to torture and severe beating with whips and sticks, also forced to consume unhealthy foods. Several video and audio clips by the families of the detainees appeal to the world to protect their loved ones from the oppression of the Buddhist authorities in detention center, stressing they are exposed to abuses and failure to provide healthcare observance for the sick and the elderly. Many diseases threaten the lives of detainees. Those detained in this recent crisis are also threatened by the disease of variety, especially acute infection and wound infection and bed sores, due to accumulation of dozens and even hundreds of them in cramped up rooms, and the lack of ventilation and water sources, not to mention the lack of treatment and healthy food. Rohingya activists said the continuation of this blatant violation of rights of prisoners and detainees is designed to slowly kill them and force them to leave the country, a policy pursued by the Myanmar government for the past 3 decades. And now to international segment. Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan's spokesman lashed out at the US military on Thursday after it refuted a statement by a Kurdish-dominant alliance it backs in Syria, saying it had no links to Kurdish militias fighting the Turkish state. The Syrian Democratic Force, the main US partner on the ground in Syria in the fight against Islamic State, includes the powerful Kurdish YPJ militia. Turkey views the YPJ as an extension of PKK militant group, which has waged a 3-year insurgency in Turkey and is considered a terrorist organization by Ankara, the United States and the European Union. US support for the YPG has been a major sticking point between Washington and Turkey, a NATO ally and a member of US-led coalition against Islamic State. Former United Nations chief Ban Ki-moon, who is expected to run for president of South Korea, said he was perplexed and embarrassed over bribery accusation brought by US prosecutors this week against his brother and nephew. Ban's younger brother Ban Ki-sung and his nephew Joo-hon Ban were accused in Manhattan federal court on Tuesday of a scheme to bribe a Middle Eastern official for an attempted $800 million sale of a building complex in Vietnam. I'm perplexed and embarrassed that the close members of my family have become involved in something like this. I feel it is regrettable. The situation has troubled many, Ban told Korean reporters at John F. Kennedy International Airport on Wednesday, ahead of his departure for South Korea. I had absolutely no knowledge. My nephew is grown and I barely had any involvement in his life or how he does his business, he said in a remark broadcasted on South Korean TV. Thank you for watching this show. Siddiq. Hope to see you very soon with more news.